Welcome back, and I hope you had a lovely day. Now today's tutorial is going to be a vegan palm-free dishwashing or laundry soap. It's going to be a zero fat soap. The recipe will be in the description box below. And I'm going to steer off my usual heat transfer method, and I'm going to do a hot process method that I'm going to do in the microwave. You can do this in a crock pot as well. I'm just way too easily distracted, can't focus that long, so I'm just going to do it as fast and as pain-free as possible, I hope. So for this specific recipe, we're going to use a special ingredient, because if you have made a coconut oil soap before, you will know the moment when it hits water, it dissolves very fast. So it's not a very long-lasting bar, but I've got a solution for that. Let me show you. For today's vegan and palm-free laundry dish soap, we are going to use coconut oil. Coconut oil is a very popular recipe, 100% coconut oil, because of the very high cleansing value there. And then we're going to add another ingredient. Now I'm going to use citric acid in this recipe as well. Citric acid is special, but it's not the very special ingredient for today. So today we are going to add soy wax, because if you are making 100%, if you've made 100% coconut oil soap before, you will know that it does not last very long in water. It dissolves very quickly. Now the longevity in coconut oil is about 12%, where soy wax is going to be 98%. So the soy wax will just even it out for us. Another ingredient that you can use to increase the longevity is stearic acid, but most of our commercially stearic acid is derived from palm oil production, so this is not going to be a palm-free version then. So to be palm-free, we're going to go for soy wax. I love my soy wax. I love it in candles and everything else as well. So for today, as I said, we're going to move over and we're going to do a hot process in the microwave oven. So firstly, I'm going to take my water. I've pre-measured all our ingredients already, and I'm going to add my stearic acid to my water, and I'm just going to dissolve it in there. Now the recipe is going to be in the description box. I try to always leave my recipes for you guys so that you can try it yourself. Now the stearic acid, you're just going to dissolve it in your water before you add your lye to it as well. Now remember, lye is alkali and stearic acid is an acid, obviously, because it's in the name. Now the moment you add your lye to the stearic acid solution, it can bubble up, especially if it's warmer water. I'm using very cool water here. The water is about, it's 19 degrees Celsius room temperature. You can even use colder water here, but if it's warmer, the reaction will be more violent, if you can call it like that. So that's the reason why I use a container underneath my plastic container. Usually I will just mix my lye in here without having a double thing. If this boils over, I've got a container that can hold it all together here. So my stearic acid is really nicely dissolved here. I'm just going to get my goggles and my gloves before I add the lye to it as well. Okay, so I pre-measured all my lye, or pre-weighed it. Weighing is measuring, I think. So I'm going to add a little bit at a time, just to see what the reaction is going to be here. Okay, so it behaved very well. It didn't boil up or over. Sometimes it can happen that it looks like, you know, remember those school experiments that you have to do with your children where they mix stearic acid or vinegar and bicarbonate of soda for the volcano effect? It's similar to that can happen, but it seems like I started out cool enough. It also doesn't give that foaming reaction if you just add a little bit of sodium hydroxide to your stearic acid solution first, and just let the citric acid react with the sodium hydroxide, and then it's going to make sodium citrate. So if you just let the first little bit react and become sodium citrate, then it's neutralized, and then it should not foam after that any longer. So yeah, there we go. It's starting to become clear. It's 92 degrees Celsius in here. I am not going to bother too much with specific temperatures and so on. I'm just showing you the different temperatures, and I know there's some people that really want to know exactly what the temperature was, so I'm just going to show it to you. I have melted my oils, or my oil and my soy wax already. It worked clear. It's a little bit milky, so it started to cool down again. It's so 58 degrees Celsius here. Now, because of the stearic acid content in the soy wax, because soy wax is also about 87% stearic acid, it's gonna trace extremely fast. The moment I'm going to add this to this, you will see it's going to go thick very, very quickly. And that's the reason why I'm doing hot process here. If you do cold process, it's really hard to work with this amount of soy wax or stearic acid in any recipe if you work much cooler, because it starts to solidify very quickly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add this as warm as it is. You see, it blobs up immediately. And I'm just going to stir it through first. So this is 100% normal reaction with this amount of stearic acid and stuff in here. So we've got our solid coconut oil and stearic acid, coconut oil and soy wax. There are way too many freaking S's in this recipe today. So now I'm going to nuke it in the microwave. There's no liquid left here. I'm going to nuke it in the microwave at short bursts and try to just mix them all together. This has been half a minute on medium high. I'm just gonna stir them a bit through. And this is a messy story. Hot process always messy with me. And you're going to continue like this. Half a minute, I've just put it on high now, half a minute at a time, and going to take it out, stir it, and repeat. It's a little bit of a separation between the soap batter and some of the water in here. That's also very quite normal. You're just going to keep on. It's going to separate first and just keep going. It will come all together again. Not like Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty were broken beyond repair. But as you can see, it's much more stirrable. It's a little bit more like mashed potato at the moment. It's still going to separate most probably the next few times that I'm going to heat it up. This is a lovely thing about hot process soap. As you make your hot process soap, you're going to mix it and heat it up. If you use a crock pot, it just takes so much longer. But there's some therapeutic value in that as well. Just for me, I am way too distracted. I distract very easily. So a crock pot, I don't have the time to stand there for hours. I think we've been busy here now for 10 minutes or so, and we are really very close to it. To know when your soap is cooked, it's not going to separate anymore, and you will see it's going to start to be able, it's going to move from the sides. When we get there, I'll show you. It's really difficult to just explain it in words, but here on the top is already soap. When it cools down, it starts to solidify, and it's going to make soap as well. Now many times people say don't stir it back in there, it's going to heat up and it's going to melt again in anyway. So I'm just adding it back. This is quite warm. 85, 97. Let's just get a, it's about 90 degrees Celsius. As you can see, it's much more liquidy now. Before this, it looked a little bit like mashed potatoes. I'm not a big hot process soap maker, so I know they call it mashed potato stage, and then you get the Vaseline stage and all different kinds of stages in between. Some soap go through all of the stages, some of them skip some, a little bit like teenagers. So it's not all the same, but yeah, this is very liquidy. It doesn't separate on me anymore. I'm just going to keep going for it with a little bit longer, just to make 100% sure. You can test the pH of the soap if you want to. I normally don't. What I do is I will cook it in the microwave until I'm happy with what it looks like. It's been through trace and everything, and then I'm going to pour it, and I will leave it at least for 24 hours anyway. So even with cold process soap, 24 to 84 hours, then it's safe to use. With this, it's going to be much faster, but I will leave it just to make sure. And then I don't have to do the zap test. When I was a child, I did the zap thing with a battery on my tongue. I don't like the feeling. Soap does not taste nice, especially coconut oil soap, so I'm not going to do the zap test. I'm microwaving it now for shorter periods of time because I know it's quite hot. I know it's quite liquidy as well. Now this is a very nice pourable consistency. You can pour it in your molds. It's definitely going to set up. Here where it cools down on the side, it sets up basically immediately. So for me, I usually stop here. You can cook it a little bit longer, but it does not separate on me at all here. So what you can do is you can use a stick blender just to make sure if you want to. Let me stick blend it just to show you. Okay, so this rechargeable stick blender is not gonna last the battery very long. It's not because of the thickness of the soap, it's just I don't think the battery is that flashy anymore. But I must say, for videos it's awesome not to have a cable all over my table. You see, where it cools down, it is immediately it's soap. So I'm just gonna put this away there. I know that it is cooked well enough, but because it starts to solidify here, I'm just gonna heat it up again, and then I'm gonna add my fragrance and pour it into the molds. If it sets up too much, just heat it up again. It's like before rebatching. Okay, there we go. I'm adding peppermint fragrance oil, just so that it smells nice and clean and lovely. You can do an unscented version as well, doesn't really matter. Oh, it's very strong peppermint with the warm soap. I'm not used to hot process and warm soap here. But anyhow, yeah, let's just get our first little dish back or closer. It's not back, it wasn't gone. And I'm just going to pour it in here. I don't want to overfill it too much because I want to get the loofah in there. What I'm going to do here is there's a tiny little, I'm working here on a never light that's constantly dishing up little hoekjes and stuff when I want to make my videos. So let's just let's move to the side. And it's solidifying as it's hanging there. Okay, 5 minutes later. Now this is the beauty about hot process soap, that for some reason it's just too messy. I don't like it. This stuff cleans hard. I don't like hot process soap, but for this it works for me. So to show you, it's maybe 10 minutes later. This soap is 95 degrees Celsius. It's already solid. You can squish, you will be able to dent it, but you can unmold it already because it has solidified. There we go. If you are making this in a bar mold or a soap log, just be warned, you need to cut it by now, because otherwise if it cools down, you're not going to be able to cut it at all. So let's just move these little guys out. And there we've got those. This 60 degrees Celsius, it is still warm. Let me just get this, otherwise I'm going to make a big mess here. Let's just move this one over here. I know I'm going to make a mess. Do want to do is going to wet it a bit. Rub it a bit. And there we go. We've got lovely dish soap. You can use it for your laundry, or you can wash your dishes with it, but it's already soap, usable soap. Okay, so there we go. This actually feels quite nice on my hands. It's zero super fat, so it can be drying. So just be warned about that. But it's gonna, if you work it a bit, it's a more like a shaving foam consistency that also can develop from here. So yes, I'm quite chuffed. Okay, so there we go. Happy soaping until I see you guys next time again. I'm back. I just need to show you this. This is awesome. Okay, bye.